Welcome back. We've been on quite a journey today through this Congress, and now we come to our last session where the focus is on the individual, or the person suffering from depression, and what they can do to help manage their illness. And I'm pleased to welcome back to this session Dr. Henriëtte Heering, who you just met on our panel, and a new person that you haven't met yet today, Rafał Kłopotowski. Rafał is a peer and family support specialist, currently working at the Institute of Psychiatry and Neurology in Warsaw, Poland. He's also at the LifeRing Secular Recovery, where he's a convener of sobriety meetings for people with dual diagnosis of drug and alcohol dependency and mental health disorders. Together, Henriëtte and Rafał will share with you their self-help tips and strategy, starting with Henriëtte. Thank you.
You start.
I start. So welcome everybody. Here I am again, and I'm going to give you some self-help tips and strategies that might help you, come back on your feet when suffering from depression. So, as said, I'm a therapist and I'm also a scientist working for the Dutch National Suicide Prevention Foundation called 113. So the tips I'm giving today, I'm giving as a therapist, which I think is important. And the first tip would be, and you already heard it before today, and I'm sure you've heard it many times before in your life, is to get activated. And yes, this is very important, but why is it so difficult when you're having a depression to get actually activated? Part of this problem, it can be found in the brain, where we have the reward system, which you can see here on the picture with all the dots and the arrows, combining a whole circuit of networks that work together in the brain, giving us a sense of motivation, reward, and pleasure. But what we see in people with depression is that there's a low level of dopamine. And dopamine is sort of the feel-good neurotransmitter, which makes us feel good when we actually pursue activities that we find enjoyable. But there's a low level in people suffering from depression. And also some key brain areas which have to do with this brain circuit of reward are affected and don't work as properly, as do not my slides at this moment. Sorry. Yes. And lastly, there's also a weakened connection between these areas working together, making the brain not fully process the sense of reward afterwards. So getting activated is actually quite difficult when you're suffering from depression, but I'm going to give you some strategies that might help you out. First of all, I would encourage you to make a daily schedule. So giving yourself a daily schedule gives you focus and can help you a sense of purpose throughout the day. But how to make such a schedule? It's difficult when you're feeling depressed. So first, make sure it's achievable. This is very important. Put yourself up for success instead of failure. That's something you don't need when you're feeling depressed. And when you find it difficult to make a schedule that is actually achievable, then it might help to do it with some consideration. Put somebody you deeply care for in your mind, and with this mindset, prepare a daily schedule for yourself. So what would you want for them? It's maybe easier to think of that what you want for yourself. Then making this daily schedule full of, or not too full, but put some meaningful activities in that schedule. So cleaning a small place or cooking or helping somebody out helps you to get a sense of rebuild your confidence and a sense of purpose back in your life. But make sure it's not full of meaningful activities throughout the day. Nobody feels better only vacuum and cleaning the sheets. So also put enjoyable activities in there, things that you used to enjoy. It's sometimes difficult when you're feeling depressed because these activities don't give you the enjoyment they used to do, but when you put them in your schedule and you start doing them all over again, you can reconnect with them again. And lastly, be forgiving for yourself. If a daily schedule fails or you cannot make all the things that you put on there, please be considerate and full of self-compassion. And a daily schedule won't cure your depression, but it's a first step towards recovery. So my second tip would be get connected. This is, I think, very important. We as human beings need other people to thrive, and we cannot do it all alone. But then again, why is it so difficult when you're feeling depressed to actually connect with other people? This can be because you have low energy levels or because you have a lot of guilt or shame feelings which prevent you from reaching out to other people. Or perhaps you feel because of the depression you can't articulate your emotions very well or your thoughts very well. So I have some ideas on how to get connected in a way that is meaningful. First, try to reflect on what kind of help or support or connection you want with another person. So that's really important, to articulate your need to another person. As I said before, it's kind of unfair, but you need to help the other person how they need to help you. So perhaps you need somebody who gets you motivated. Maybe a type of cheerleader, cheering you all the way down the line. But it's also possible that you need someone who gives you advice. Maybe it's emotional guidance, maybe it's practical advice, or perhaps it's just support you're seeking. Somebody's being at your side, not asking too many questions, or just giving you a hug. And when it's difficult for you to think of what kind of support you need, then you can go back to a time where you felt truly supported by, and then think, was the kind of support that I enjoyed then, so maybe I will enjoy it right now as well, or this is what I need. It's important to find a person where you can trust. So who is the person that will go through lengths to meet your needs, won't judge you for asking for something that he or she needs to provide for you. And when you found that person, then open up. Sharing your burden is really helping to unload it, and staying alone with your own dark and depressive thoughts will only deepen the sense of isolation. And then lastly, this is also important, keep going. It is very difficult. Human relations are messy. They're never perfect. You will fail. It will go wrong. But please step out again and try again, because it takes time and relapse and building up and laughter and tears to reconnect with other people. And lastly, get help. As the professor said already, suicidal ideation is a very prevalent aspect of depression. Unfortunately, about 20 to 40% of the people all around the world suffer from suicidal ideation. So if you suffer from these thoughts, get help. And how to do that? You can go either online to find a helpline in your country when there's no person around you can trust with these thoughts. So findahelpline.com. There are all the helplines all over the world where you can go to. And there's one tip that I would like to give you. Safety planning, I mentioned it before, is a very relatively easy intervention. I usually make it with my own patients, and it keeps you safe from coming into a suicidal crisis. And at the Samaritans website, you can find an example and how to fill in the steps. And this can really keep you safe from committing suicide or going to suicidal behavior. So these were my self-help tips. I hope they help you. These are the references I used throughout my presentation. And I'm gladly handing the mic to my fellow presentee, Rafał.
Thank you. So many has been already said today that some of the things that I'm going to talk about will probably be repeating. I'll be repeating after others. But maybe that's a good thing, because we'll get to see how all these things maybe fit together. I am, as I was introduced here, I am a peer support specialist. In my native Poland, it's called recovery assistant. That means that I do have a mental health condition. I have bipolar disorder, ADHD, and narcolepsy. And I work from my own experience with folks. What I'm going to share with you is things that I use for myself, as well as what I do when I help others. So there are various sort of general ways of looking at recovery. I picked that one, and that one is coming both from mental health and from substance use disorder field. And it covers four general areas. Physical health, which basically means getting a doctor's checkup, making sure your spine is okay, making sure your teeth are okay, getting some exercise, eating healthy, all of those things. Stable home is more than just a roof over your head. It also means income. It also means people that you live with are supportive, that you feel safe at home. Purpose and meaning are the things that keep you going. They are the things that make you, you, that are unique to you. That's your unique propeller that drives you through life. And then community support. which means family, which means relations, friends. It also can mean your soccer team. It can also mean your choir, your church, all kinds of other places, wherever you can belong to a community. There is a different system that I didn't really bring a slide for. It's called CHIME. It's easier to remember. It covers roughly the same thing. C stands for connection. H stands for hope in recovery process. I stands for identity, because as Professor said, very often the illness forces us into redefining our identity. M stands for meaning, and E stands for empower. So we empower ourselves and hope that our community can help us empower ourselves to change our lives and live a healthy lives. So that's the general sort of framework that I use. The more particular are these 5 stages of recovery. There are various versions of these stages. They're generally there are sometimes there are 3 of them, sometimes there are 4 of them. I like that one because it's kind of detailed. So the first stage is where I call it Hiroshima, when the bomb went off and we just fell sick. This presumes that we don't have a long-term onset of the illness, but it just hits us that one day, like it hit me. And it is overpowering. It is so overpowering that really, I don't really need much of anything. There's nothing anybody can do for me at that point. Just leave me alone. Let me stay there. Bring me a cup of tea. Give me a hug. And that's it. Don't let me stay there too long, because if I stay there too long, I'll move into the second stage when I will give into this overwhelming power of illness. And when I get there, it's hard to get out of. And so then again, I will expect my support system to help me remind that life doesn't have to be just that. Because at this point, I'll think, well, this is it. This is never going to get any better. So hopefully my support folks will say, no, there are other ways. Just hang on. It'll get better. It will get better. It is too shall pass. Hopefully that will move us closer to the third stage. In the third stage, we start to question our situation. We start to question whether this really is the best this will ever be. So this is where examples of others can be very useful. This is where we listen when we watch movies that are showing folks who overcame mental illness conditions or challenges that came from mental health conditions. This is also where we listen to interviews, read books. Hopefully that will start moving us towards this fourth stage of recovery, where we start to slowly challenge our situation, challenge that overwhelming power of the illness. And we can do that first by just trying to find areas in which we could start moving towards. Just think about what is it that you could do. Tiago talked a lot about sports. Maybe there's some things I like to do. Maybe I can go out for more walks. Maybe I can go out and ride a bike a little bit more. Maybe I can go out and go back to talk to my buddies and kick the ball around for a couple minutes. It also asks the question, what do I want to be healthy for? What do I want to recover for? What do I want my life to look like once I am healthy? I don't want to stay that way. I want to be some other way. This goes back a little bit to this redefining ourselves, redefining our identity, because illness does change us. We're no longer the same that we were before, as anything that redefines us. And so this is a good place where we can start thinking about what it is that I would like to do with myself. What is it that I would like to do with my life? What do I want to sacrifice for others, for myself, for my family? And from that point, we move into this fifth stage where we start to act. And those can be very, very different depending on what answers we found in this fourth stage. That could mean volunteering. That could mean work, going to work. Work is health. It really is. If I stay home and do nothing, I'm a guy that stays home and does nothing. If I go work at the grocery store, I'm a guy that works at the grocery store. I'm no longer just a dude at home. So it is very important to try to find some things that will start us on this path to routines. I think also Tiago was talking about routines. Having a routine, having to get up for something, get dressed for something, get out of the house for something. All of those things are bringing us closer and closer and closer to have recovered. Because I do believe we do recover. Recovery is generally defined as a process, as a total ongoing process. I believe that by the time we find ourselves to be in control of our lives, doing something that's meaningful, being responsible, being part of something greater than we are, that's when we recover. That may include medication, that may include ongoing therapy, but that's the point at which we do recover. So in a lot, my work is trying to find a ways to move a person from stage to stage until they move on. Now, how I do it, in practice, I have this handy self-care tool, which, as you can tell, has a lot of the same elements that the other slides had, but these are a little bit more particular. Under physical, of course, we have safe housing again, but we also have kissing and massages. Under personal, we need to learn who we are. So this redefinition shows up. But go on dates. Just relax. Just do nothing. Learn to play an instrument. Emotional. Under emotional, laughing is emotional. Saying I love you to your cat, to your spouse, to your partner. Flirting is emotional. Spiritual, in another way of looking at recovery, spiritual is considered to be 1/4 of recovery. So spiritual is very important, but that doesn't necessarily mean organized religion. It can, by all means, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean that. It can mean going to nature, dancing, taking yoga, volunteering for a cause. In other words, being part of something greater than we are. All of those things fall into the spiritual part. Praying, of course, or meditation, which are kind of interchangeable. Let's see, professional. That's an important one that we often, this is my pet peeve here. Don't work from home. Don't work from home. Leave work at work. Go home to be at home. I live outside Warsaw and I drive into the city. I do my work at work and then I happily drive back into my suburb where there are parks, greenery, and I don't work from home. And that's hygiene of professional life. The other things are learn to say no to your boss. Take all the vacation days that are coming to you because we often forget about those things. Psychological therapy, of course, journaling, of course, but gardening is psychological. We watch things grow over time, bloom. Practice asking and receiving help. I'm going to leave you with that one because it does seem, sometimes it seems obvious, but so many times we don't ask for help when we could really use it and we feel uncomfortable asking for help. So do ask. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rafał and Henriëtte. I feel like in both of your talks, it gave me anyway, a great deal of hope. Not that comes free, you have to work for it and you have to do things to get there, but really that there's a path and a journey that people can go on. And once they understand that path and journey and build routines into their life, they've got that anchor to hang on to when things get tough again. We'd be really happy to take any questions from the audience. If people have anything, I think we've got 10 minutes with you both here. And my question was really about hope. What do you think makes people keep hope? What is hope?
Well, I start, you finish. I think when you have something in your mind that you want to pursue and it works out, be aware of it, because it's an achievement, and that can give you hope. Sometimes I draw a line on my whiteboard for my clients, and I see, so the line recovery is not like a straight arrow right up, but it's messy knot or sometimes a wave. And then going back into a lower mood, it's always very difficult, because you realize I've just come from a better place because it was a peak behind me. But remember that you're feeling better already than at the start when you tried your road on recovery. So be aware of your achievements, I would say.
And that's not always easy to see, because the change is very gradual very often. So only looking back sometimes several months, we can see that we're actually better off. Hope is a double-edged sword in a way. One is very positive. It empowers us to move on. It empowers us to undertake all these difficult things. On the other hand, just going on hope and not doing anything, hoping that, it'll all get better, and I hope that it'll all get better, will work against what we actually need to do. So,
just to drive action.
Yes. So hope is great. As long as it is aimed at some action rather than at just expecting a miracle.
Yeah. Okay. And also enduring the disappointment that comes with hope.
That's right.
Because it won't, you might have something in mind which is not working out as well as you've hoped for, but then don't stop. Keep going.